Good evening and welcome to News Watch. It is 19th of August 2020. Thank you so much for joining us for the latest updates. My name is Tonny Omondi and our sign language interpreter is Boniface Murithi. Now, the country has recorded 19 new coronavirus deaths in the last 24 hours, bringing the total number of fatalities from the virus to 506. While giving the daily coronavirus update, Health Chief Administrative Secretary Dr. Mercy Mwangangi said 18 of the patients had underlying conditions. At the same time, 244 patients have recovered from the deadly virus. Even as the COVID-19 cases now stand at 30,015, Mwangangi said the ministry has been following up on all affected and exposed persons to develop a knowledge base that will guide the ministry to develop and provide a robust COVID-19 testing strategy and pandemic containment measures.
We have recorded 379 new cases, raising the country's total to 31,015 cases. And this was drawn from a sample of 3,867 people within the last 24 hours. Today, we have 244 patients that have recovered from the disease, bringing the total number of recoveries to 17,612. And from the discharge, 76 were from various facilities, whereas 168 were from the home-based care program. And we continue to thank our healthcare workers for this great achievement. Unfortunately, today, we've lost 19 patients to COVID-19. One of these patients was a death that happened in the household, in the community. And today, as we've continuously said, 18 of our patients all have comorbid states, with the two leading states being diabetes and hypertension. We continue to extend our sincere and heartfelt condolences to the families and friends of those who've lost their loved ones.
Our Interior and National Coordination Cabinet Secretary Dr. Fred Matiang'i has made changes to the State Department of Interior and Citizen Services, transferring senior police officers and security bosses across the country. The changes, which take effect immediately, include transfers and new appointments, with Matiang'i saying the decision was arrived at after consultations with President Uhuru Kenyatta. In the changes, CS Matiang'i has appointed Moffat Kangi, who's been serving as the Secretary for Internal Security, as the Principal Administrative Secretary at the Interior Ministry headquarters. Wilson Jenga has also been appointed as new Secretary for Internal Security in the office of the President. Dickens Luvanda reports.
The Ministry of Interior and Coordination of National Government Cabinet Secretary Dr. Fred Matiang'i has made changes to the State Department of Interior and Citizen Services, transferring several police and security bosses across the country. The changes, which take effect immediately, include transfers and new appointments, with Matiang'i saying that the changes were arrived at after consultations with the President Uhuru Kenyatta. In the changes, CS Matiang'i has appointed Moffat Kangi, who has been serving as the Secretary for Internal Security, as the new Principal Administrative Secretary at the Interior Ministry headquarters, as Wilson Jenga, who has been serving as the Nairobi Regional Commissioner, takes over as the new Secretary for Internal Security in the office of the President. Western Kenya Regional Police Commissioner Ann Ngetich has been transferred to the office of the President headquarters, as James Kianda, who has been the Nyanza Regional Commander, got transferred to the Nairobi region.
As I indicated earlier,
in a statement to newsrooms, Matiang'i appointed Mago Mutindika, who has been the Kilifi County Police Commander, and Esther Maina, who has been the Machakos County Commissioner, as the new Nyanza and Western Regional Police Commissioners respectively. The CS has also appointed 6 new police commissioners, including Fred Ndunga as the new Machakos County Commissioner, Paul Rotich as the new County Commissioner of Siaya County, Matthias Mbogai Rioba as the new County Commissioner in Tana River County, Moses Lilana as the new Homa Bay County Commissioner, Benson David Leparmorijo as the new Commissioner in Nyandarua County, while Joseph Oko has been appointed as the new Bomet County Commissioner.
it's time for us to be human beings again in this society and think about the officers we work with, where they work and live.
15 county commissioners have also been reshuffled in the latest changes, each being transferred to different counties. They include Onesimus Kiatha, who has been moved from Mandera to Mombasa County, Joshua Nkanatha from Kajiado to Marsabit County, Evans Achoki from Marsabit to Kajiado County, Michael Chalal from Siaya to Garissa County, Gilbert Kitio from Mombasa to Mandera County, Stephen Kihara from Kisii to Uasin Gishu County, Mwangi Meru from Garissa to Narok County, George Omondi from Bomet to Kakamega County, Samuel Kimiti from Narok to Bungoma County, Olaka Kutswa from Nandi to Kilifi County, and Both Cherotich, who has been moved from Nyandarua to Migori County. Others include Abdirazak Jaldesa, who has been transferred from Uasin Gishu to Kisii County, David Kipkemei from Homa Bay to the Office of President Headquarters in Nairobi, Joseph Rotich from Migori County to Nyanza, and Abdi Hassan from Bungoma County to the Office of the President Headquarters. CS Matiang'i has further transferred 98 Deputy County Commissioners and appointed 84 new Deputy County Commissioners to various stations across the country. Dickinson Vanda, Hope TV Newswatch.
Moving on, Education CS Professor George Magoha now says the decision to reopen schools in the country will be given by President Uhuru Kenyatta. The CS who addressed the media at the Siaya Institute of Technology in Siaya Town during a tour to gauge the preparedness of the institution to resume learning said the president's decision will, however, depend on the advice he receives from experts. The CS has at the same time called on Kenyans to support the community teaching initiative to keep children busy during COVID-19 pandemic.
But the government had thought that by September 1, these colleges, the most important group are the teacher training colleges, which we need to train teachers to teach the competency-based curriculum. So we need them open like yesterday. We have been around, and I think there is still some work to be done. You have seen how this virus is carried by the children. The greatest challenge that the government has to deal with, and we are as one government in this one. Do we have responsibility, if one was to ask you, the right to life and the right to education, which one is more important? If the right to life is more important, then ignore all the noise and the hula balloons you are listening to. Because every Kenyan child has a right to live. Yes. If we are to open schools as before we are prepared, before the disease comes down and is controlled, a number of children are going to die. Whose children are these that you want to sacrifice? Whose? So it is just because we are Kenya and the space is so open that anybody can say anything.
However, one of the challenges we are dealing with is to accommodate a fewer number of trainees as compared to the total enrollment. For example, if we are to reopen by observing those guidelines, we can only accommodate probably 750 trainees at a time.
Now, Old Town residents in Mombasa County now want the government to compensate them for the losses and suffering they endured during the one-month lockdown between May and June. The residents have said there was no justification for the lockdown. Through the Old Town Residents Association, chaired by Mbwana Abdallah, the residents claim the lockdown was a punishment meted on them by the national government after being influenced by the county administration.
So kwa hivyo, it is important that the government and the county government cooperate with members of the public and tell them exactly what is going on. This is utterly important because they have a lot of information, but they keep it for themselves. And this is wrong. People speculate. On the lack of information, people will always speculate. And they have the right so to do it because they're not getting proper information from the government.
We do not do things by opinions, ama thoughts. You come with a proof. Over repeated times, then you say, hapa tuataka tufunge. Lakini county did not do any research. No scientific analysis was done. Kama wangekwenda Lancet, wakenda randomly, wakasema okay, out of 3,000 household, 500 wako nazo, wangefunga. Lakini it was just hearsay. But for us, where we come from a background of scientific, we need proof. Then a scientific proof that proves beyond reasonable doubt. Sasa hao walikuja wakakaa pale for Jesus, wakapiga bla 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 bla. County government ikafanya national government ifunge.
Now the news, a community-based organization known as Chosen Generation has embarked on a strategy to reform and rehabilitate street children in Kawangware area of Nairobi County. The group has been feeding children and preaching to them, even as coronavirus pandemic continues to take toll on families. As our reporter Mark Kimondo tells us, over 80 street children have reformed through the initiative.
It's in one of the most unsecured places in Kawangware Estate, Nairobi County, a bushy area flocked with hundreds of street children, young and old women and men who have nowhere to go and no one to depend on. They are here for different reasons, with life frustrations making most of them live in the streets.
Watu kuwa hold si rahisi, lakini juu ni mandugu zetu, si uishi kiundugu na sister. Hata kama society inatuchukia ati wanasema sisi ni wa madawa za kulevya, sijui sisi tunajidunga mashindano, sijui kitu ikiibiwa tu huku wanaanzanga na hapa.
Meet Tonny Mwangi, popularly known as Prince London, one of the members from Chosen Generation. He is spiritually feeding this group, a task his team began in April this year. The blankness on their faces speaks out their desperation. Mobilizing this group is not a simple task. Their concentration span is very low due to drug and substance abuse.
Our main agenda is to spread the gospel of our Lord Jesus Christ, because that's the only thing that can transform people. Because I was once in the street, I understand the challenges that these guys are facing. More so during this pandemic, we can realize that they don't have food. There is no one to come and maybe stand out for them. Some are sick. We have managed to take some, like 17, to hospital. So it's a very, they are facing very difficult times here.
Some of them seems to be very cooperative, but it's hard for some. Patrick Kiari Wamboy is the chairman of this ground. He says many people have been mobilizing resources from abroad in the name of assisting this group of street children. But not even a single coin has been brought here.
Nanyewe huyu rasta wetu wanatuetangia hapa chakula, huwa anatusaidia sana. Kwa kuwa hakuna wengine washai kuja venye huyu rasta anakujanga. Wengine wanakujanga, wanatupima. Tumepata miradi mingi sana. Na madugu zangu hazijai kuja hivi zinatupikia hivi.
Venye rasta anatusaidia hapa, tumeona yeye ni rasta maana. Ni pasta wa kuweza. Wenyewe si watu wengi wanaweza tusaidia hivi. Hata kama hata Simbarati ametupanisha, bado wenyewe tunaona rasa ametutilia maanani.
They face police harassment in broad daylight, something that leaves most of them distressed.
Na shida iko kama kukimbizwa na polisi. Yaani mambo mingi kurara nje. Naona na kushinda tumekimbizwa huku juu ya maneno tu.
It takes heart and courage to be here, as not all strangers can maneuver the area. Like other typical Wednesdays, the lunch today is sorted. Most of them are very active during this hour. It's one and only meal for most of them today. Anthony and his team must be very careful, as some might be left with empty stomachs, with others consuming more than 2 plates of food.
Unaangalia tu ile situation yenye wako. It's like I normally feel venye wanapitia maisha wanaishi, because I have a friend mwenye amekuwa street for so long, so ndo mwenye alikuwa ananiambia the things that they used to go through, ndo saa ilini touch hadi nikaanza kukuja huku.
We have chosen this street family to encourage them, to show them the way that they can change their life through Christ. That's how we have been here, trying to show them the way and motivating them, even preaching to them, so that they can change.
We have been trying to, this is the third time tumekuwa hapa na wao, and we can see some changes Because like at first tukikuja see the same way sahi wako like watu wanaamini sana. Hata kuna wengine walitoa testimony akasema like the progress is good and tukiendelea hivi wanaona wakitoka hapa.
Over 80 street children have reformed out of this task conducted by Chosen Generation. However, the team has encountered a myriad of setbacks in their bid to reform this group. Street children are also human beings and shouldn't be despised. Organizations like Chosen Generations can tell the moral support street children need to reform. According to Consortium of Street Children CSC, an international charity, there is no official figure on the number of homeless children in Kenya, but an estimate suggests the number of street children could be as high as between 250,000 and 300,000 through Kenya, including 60,000 in Nairobi alone.
A picture speaks louder than 1,000 words. But this is what Chosen Generation has been doing since April this year, believing that many of these street children will reform and get back to the society. Mark Kimondo, Hope TV, Nairobi.
Story. Now, even as teenage pregnancies increase in counties, legislators have been pushing to have the Reproductive Health Bill passed as law to ensure comprehensive sexual education to teenagers, among other proposals to curb the vice. However, the Christian community has vehemently opposed the bill, pointing out critical issues surrounding the well-being of children and the unborn. Grace Wangui has more.
As COVID-19 continues to put a strain on the existing health facilities and further reveal a dysfunctional health system in the country, it is key to note the dire situation we find ourselves in terms of reproductive health. In the wake of the pandemic, schools have been closed, leaving thousands of learners away from control systems like schools, which in a sense are able to offer limits. Unfortunately, the current unprecedented times have seen reports of thousands of teenage girls falling pregnant. The question we ought to ask ourselves is whether bills like one sponsored by Nakuru Senator Susan Kihika, the Reproductive Health Bill, are the solution. An ignorant skim through the bill can leave one promoting its contents that have been written in carefully picked words so as not to poke at Kenyans. The Reproductive Health Bill 2019 has elicited mixed reactions from clergy and other societies in the country who are now calling for the abolition of the bill or institution of proper amendments. According to Christ ambassadors, some of the contentious sectors of the bill include discrepancy in the definition of pregnancy between the Constitution of Kenya 2010 and the bill. Unlike the Constitution, which refers to life beginning at conception, the bill describes it in part according to Part 5 of Section 26 of the Constitution of Kenya on termination of pregnancy. The bill suggests that Part 5, which is termination of pregnancy, can be done with consultation with a trained healthcare practitioner. However, the bill is not very clear in describing the cadres of healthcare practitioners, level of qualification to attend to reproductive health concerns, or licenses they will need to advise on reproductive health. The bill suggests that Part 5, which is termination of pregnancy, can be done by a trained health professional, where his or her opinion is that the child may suffer physical and mental complications after birth. This is contrary to opinions from religious leaders that all life should be protected, especially that of special children. Lastly, the bill alludes to the provision of comprehensive sexuality education and its introduction to schools. The bone of contention is that sexual education should not be given in total isolation from parents and educators and left in the hands of healthcare practitioners. Grace Wangui, Hope TV News Watch.
All right, let's take a short commercial break. Still have more coming up shortly. Don't go too far.
Welcome to Rafiki Gardens along Kangondo Road by HopeTvKenya. This is an ideal and affordable piece of investment that is strategically placed within the Nairobi metropolis. Rafiki Gardens is close to key social amenities like schools, banks, and shopping malls. This project comes with ready title deeds, Maram roads, and a marking fence round the property. Get a plot at only 695,000 Kenya shillings cash price. You can also pay a 50% deposit and pay the rest in 6 months installments. Call us today on 0702 8310 83 or visit www.optiven.co.ke.
Only God can turn a mess into a message.
I have a boy on a wheelchair.
Yeah.
I'm still preaching on the pulpit.
Amen.
Niliona mguu ya nyuma inakuja tu kunikanyaga, imenilenga tu kwa tumbo. Nikaitana tu, Jesus.
I got tired of working with the x-ray papers, and one day I just woke up and decided to burn them.
A test into a testimony.
The whole community didn't want to hear that anybody is born again. Excommunicated, straight.
Bila Yesu hakuna njia.
Join Sharon Naitore Wangenye on Testify.
Katika hiyo harakati hiyo spirit ikakemewa, mimi nimeona Yesu Kristo namna hii. Kwa msalaba. Opa. Hallelujah. Hallelujah.
Every Thursday at 8 p.m. for a moment to grow your faith some more.
Welcome back. You're watching Hope TV News Watch. Now, a row is brewing between the residents of Garite village in Magarini sub-county of Kilifi County and a private investor said to have illegally acquired more than 2,000 acres of land to set up a salt farm. The residents have held peaceful protests to express their opposition to the proposed project on a 2,000-acre piece of land and asked the government to stop Munyu Salt Company from implementing its project. This is after the investor allegedly cleared more than 40 acres of mangrove forest in the area to pave way for the setting up of the salt farm, despite protests from the locals who claim that the investor did not follow the law to acquire the disputed land. A tour of the area revealed that hundreds of mangrove trees and a number of coconut trees had been cut down, with at least one house demolished.
Ili mradi uendelee, ni jamii ihusishwe kikamilifu. Waelezewe jinsi mradi huu utakavyoanza na jinsi utakavyoendelea. Jamii haijakataa mradi huu, lakini walikuwa hawajahusishwa kikamilifu ili mradi huu kuanza ama kuendelea. Na katika jinsi walivyokuwa jamii inaendelea kuangalia, wakaona kwamba kuna athari za mradi huu ukianza. Kwa mfano, kuna mito ambayo itafungwa hapa, na mito ikifungwa maji hayatakuwa hayana uwezo wa kupanda kufika juu. Na maji yakipanda kuna vidingwi fulani ambavyo maji haya huwa yanaingia.
Madhila ambao wanajamii wanapitia kwa kutokana na uvunaji wa chumvi ni mazito mno, na amekuwa kithiri tangu kampuni za chumvi zilipokuja katika maeneo haya. Tunapozungumza saizi baada ya wananchi kupigia kura ya maoni katiba ya 2010, fikra zetu na dhana zetu ilikuwa ni kwamba minyororo ile ambayo wanajamii walikuwa wamefungwa kwa muda itakuwa imefunguliwa. Lakini mpaka leo tunavyozungumzia, uwezo wa mwananchi kuhusishwa katika miradi, katika mpangilio ya maendeleo imeathirika kwa mapana makubwa sana.
Kumbuka kwamba wakati mwekezaji huyo alipoingia maeneo haya, alikuta tayari wananchi walikuwa wamekaa hapa, wamezaliwa hapa na wameweza kujiendeleza. Ukiangalia kwa nyuma, utakuta minazi mingi sana, utakuta mikorosho, utakuta miembe, kasorina, miti ya zamani ambayo inaashiria yale maisha ambao wanajamii wamekaa hapa wakifanya masuala ya kilimo, wakifanya mambo ya uvuvi na wakiweza kujiendeleza hapa.
The government is set to launch a new Kenya Youth Employment Project, KYEOP product, to benefit disadvantaged youths across the country. The program, dubbed Innovation Challenge, which is a product for hard-to-serve youth, will target young people in marginalized areas and rehabilitation centers. According to the Principal Secretary for Youth Affairs, Julius Korir, the product will benefit youths from KYEOP interventions, which includes training, internships and grants. Korir, who spoke during a tour of master craftsmen and formal training providers in Mombasa County, said the tour will involve 17 counties to assess their level of preparedness on COVID-19 guidelines before resuming training in September or early October this year.
So when COVID came in March and when it was announced as a national problem and activities were suspended, KIOP also suspended its program. But the objective of KIOP was to give young people skills. And in the process, when that happened, so many young people have been suffering. And that's why we've decided that we want to make sure that we resume training so that KIOP can achieve its objective of giving young people the skills to work, as well as also ensuring that they are safe in the process of doing so. So we've had 4 cycles, and each cycle has a minimum of 20,000 young people in the 17 counties. I mentioned the counties where the program is running. At the coast, we have 3 counties, that is Mombasa, Kilifi, and Kwale. In Lower Eastern, we have Machakos and Kitui. In then Nairobi, and then Kiambu. Then we have, I think, Mandera. We have Nakuru. We have Kisumu. We have Kisii, among others. So there are 17 counties in the country where this program is running. And in all those counties, each cycle we take about 20. Cycle 5, which is about to commence, we are going to take 22,500. And the selection process is about to start.
And athletes and coaches in Nyahururu have called on the government to fast-track setting up of protocols and resumption of sporting activities to allow them resume practices in the local stadium. The athletes said they are running against time in preparation for various upcoming events. The athletes and coaches who spoke when they teamed up to clear bushes at the Nyahururu Stadium said they are eager to use the tracks for speed work training ahead of various world events.
Siku ya leo tumejitolea kukuja kutengeneza uwanja. Ilikuwa na kwekwe mingi. Tukaamua kama sisi wakimbiaji, kwanza tulianzia na kupiga ndawa. Leo ilikuwa kukuja kutoa hiyo kwekwe. Tukitarajia kamati yenye inachunguza mambo ya kujitayarisha kwa ili tufunguliwe mauwanja, itafungua hivi karibuni. Na diposa tukaona tutayarishe diposa wakikuja kuifungua uwanja. Hatutakuwa na hiyo muda, tutakuja tu na kuanza mbio zetu.
Uwanja inasaidia kwa nafasi kubwa juu uwanja ni mzuri, hakuna mashimo, hakuna milima. So inasaidia kufastisha hii speed work inakuwa mzuri, na pia kama tuko na teamwork inasaidia sana. Sasa tumekuwa behind ukiangalia na hapo awali juu hatuna uwanja. So tunaseseka, tungeomba serikali tu itufungulie ili tuweze kuendelea na hii safari.
Wengi wetu wenye ambao hawana kazi wamekuwa na changamoto mingi. Mwanariadha kujimudu kama yeye mwenyewe bila kukimbia anapitia changamoto mingi sana. Unajua anaweza kosa kutokuwa na facilities ya kutrainia. Kama saa hii wakati facilities yote zilifungwa, kila mtu akaanza na train peke yake. So ni changamoto, ukitrain peke yako bila wenzako ni ngumu sana. Hautajijua vile mahali penye huko, hautajua vile una progress. Coaches nao wanakuwa mbali na wakimbiaji wao. So imekuwa tu ni changamoto mingi.
As the coronavirus pandemic continues to threaten human life and lifestyles, many Kenyans, young and old, have suffered psychological problems emanating from job losses, losing their loved ones, and even contracting COVID-19. Our reporter Faith Imani Mugo compiled a mental health report during this season. Let's listen in.
It's now been over 6 months since the first case of COVID-19 was reported in Kenya. Some of the measures the governments and health officials have put in place in order to curb the spread of the virus is social distancing. But how has this affected kids and teens in the society?
Children are rather confined in the homes. They are not in school where they play, where they meet their friends, where they are able to, even become more creative. Because when children are together, they are extremely creative.
according to a poll by the student counseling group Okiau in May this year. Over 20% of the school-going teens surveyed said their stress levels were at maximum 10 out of 10.
I was to finish my in primary in 2020, but due to coronavirus, I had to cancel my plans for another year.
I was expecting by the end of 2020 I would have finished my exam, so that 2021 I will be in campus studying in the university. So it has been a bit of a loss for me.
It's not just the learning in the classroom that they lack. It is also that association and the ability to be able to play together and, you know, to enjoy one another. All of that is what they are losing. And definitely out of that, they get mental, issues in terms of they feel even sad, they get anxious, and they keep on wondering, when will this end?
Older children and teens may feel disappointed for missing birthday parties, school plays, as well as not being able to visit their grandparents, aunties, friends, and cousins.
Personally, when I'm sent to the shop, I must go with someone. I am not allowed to walk out of the house alone.
I do not go to travel. They have restricted me. Sometimes even we quarrel with my parents.
In the recent past, there has been increase in the level of mental ailment.
I must say, during this period, I have experienced some difficult times handling teenagers, leave alone the young children.
Teenagers rely on their age mates for so much information, and now they have been cut off. So what they do is they learn something at home from their parents, and they counter-check with their peers whether that is also what is happening in their own homes. So that kind of isolation, that they are not able to associate so much, even in school, again causes them anxiety.
For some teens and young children, it's been difficult to stay at home with their siblings, and this has greatly affected them as well.
I have some siblings, but it's really hard taking care of siblings as a boy child.
When I am left alone with my siblings, they are not the kind of people who will stay in their house without going outside to play, because they are given that permission and they have friends at home. So they can go, start playing, you've cooked lunch, you have to call them to come back to the house. They don't want to come. And when mom comes from work in the evening, you'll of course be asked, have your siblings eaten? Because there's that thing with that certain behavior. When the parents come back to the house, the younger siblings start behaving like you're such a torture to them.
Short-term behavior changes, such as mood swings, acting out, changes in sleep patterns, can be indications of mental stress, as psychologists say.
Parents need to look out for the level of involvement of their teenagers. When teenagers look withdrawn, they don't want to talk, they don't want to be talked to, they do things the opposite way. Like sometimes they may want to be awake when others are sleeping. They want to have their meals when others are not having their meals, and they want to have their meals alone. That is a bad sign. It is a sign of a teenager who is withdrawing from the family system.
Stress in children and teens can result to a permanent damage in their growth. How can parents and caregivers help their children cope in this season?
It is important that parents explain to the children, especially the very young children, as a way of, making them comfortable. Explain to them that you will still provide, and for Christians it is important also to let the children know that God is still in control, will provide for the children, will provide for the parents first, provide for the children, and there will be no suffering.
Teenagers, listen to your parents. They may be harsh, they may be unreasonable at some time, but you as a child, just listen to your parent, understand that these people are going through hard times. They have to look for something for you to eat. They have to look for your school fees next time. Jobs have been cut off. Businesses have come down. listen to your parents and understand they are going through hard times. And the parents, listen to your children, they are going through hard times too.
It should be the parent taking the initiative to talk to this teenager, find out what they are thinking, what would they do if they had a chance to solve even a problem like the one that is disturbing our society so much.
Reporting for Hope TV Newswatch, I'm Faith Imani Mugo.
With a story from Faith Imani Mugo, Newswatch takes another short commercial break. Business news is coming up next.
Tunakuletea burudani safi kutoka wanamuziki wa nyimbo za sifa na ibada, mahojiano ya moja kwa moja na mafunzo ya hali ya juu.
Dhamira ya mtu ikifa anaweza fanya anything because kile kinanitofautisha na mbuzi ni dhamira.
There was this time niliambia Mungu, mimi samahani Mungu, lakini naona umenifanya mimi kuwa daraja. Sitaki.
Ni mahali pa uchipuzi na ulezi wa vipaji.
Mwimbaji anaweza itisha akitaka, lakini unajua hiyo ni sauti hajanunua. Hujanunua, hiyo ni umebarikiwa nayo. So hiyo unaweza mupeane aidha bure ama. Lakini hii pande nyingine sisi tumeinvest, ni investment ona.
Tunabeba mwili, lakini mimi sikujua hii ni maagano nafanya.
Ungana naye Mwalimu Shaban Brima kila Ijumaa saa 2 jioni na marudio kila Jumamosi saa 10 jioni.
Machozi ya furaha nishangaze Baba, kwa ushuhuda wangu watambua wewe ni Mungu.
Welcome back. The real estate business in the country is expected to bounce back in 12 months' time as investors slow down in taking new projects, according to Ian Henderson, the managing director of Superior Homes Kenya, a real estate developer. The weaker sector players who've had to endure a brutal month in business are slowly moving out, while developers who've taken root by avoiding external debts are thriving despite the pandemic, George Jesse reports.
Kenyans have continued to buy homes despite a tough economy due to the COVID-19 pandemic. According to Managing Director of Superior Homes Kenya PLC, Ian Henderson, rich Kenyans and the middle class have continued to buy homes as an investment choice with the contemplation of a robust sector post-COVID-19.
People are resilient. People will, in a sense, not get over this, but they'll deal with it. We all need to deal with it because we need to make a living. And as we make a living, we take choices in life, we buy houses. So my own view is that people will continue to buy houses.
While announcing the new CEO, Shiv Arora, who has been tasked with leading the business to achieving a 4 billion Kenya shillings turnover per year for the next 5 years, Henderson has noted that a lot of developers in the real estate sector are still facing tough times from constrained capital, while others are opting to phase out due to unmet obligations. However, developers who have no external debts have shown resilience in the sector, continually supplying the less likely demand for homes during this time.
There'll be an element of thinning out, in my view, where the weaker companies may be thinned out and may not survive this. And there'll be the stronger companies will be around to push on, which I think is in general what happens in business during down times. And it's a cycle that actually invigorates business because it actually means that business continually improves and gets better.
Moreover, Shiv Arora, who takes over as the Chief Executive Officer, has said that the sector will have to come up with innovative ways and friendly prices to ensure sales in the sector, with the lifestyle of Kenyans being key in new developments.
Obviously, you have to get into arrangements for possibly longer payment plans and any sort of landscaping incentive that you might need to offer someone, but nothing too significant that would affect the profit margins in the business.
Aurora also pledged to develop a strong management team to move the company to being worth over 10 billion Kenya shillings in the next 5 years. Reporting for Hope TV Newswatch, I'm Joe Jesse.
And Pwani Oil has acquired the popular Ushindi soap brand, further boosting its presence in the fast-growing personal and home care product category. The deal, approved by the Competitions Authority of Kenya, comes as demand for soap and hygiene products has risen due to COVID-19 health protocols requiring regular washing and disinfecting to curb the spread of the virus. The Ushindi acquisition will also see the company gain a significant share of the personal and home care product market, since it also manufactures the Whitewash and Dume brands. According to Pwani Oil Commercial Director Rajul Maldi, there has been a sudden surge in demand for multi-purpose soap products that fit into emerging consumers' spending patterns and desire for a wider choice. Maldi adds that while consumption of soap and detergents has increased, disposable incomes are declining due to the negative economic impact of COVID-19, and consumers now want a product they can use for bathing and other home hygiene needs. The delay by county governments, parastatals and institutions of higher learning to remit employee deductions could affect savings and credit cooperative societies, SACCOs, liquidity levels. SACCO leaders have warned that the remittance delay, coupled with reduced purchasing power in the long run, will disrupt the financial base of the credit unions. Ukulima SACCO chairman Philip Cherono said most of their members have been affected by the delay in remittance of over 70 million shillings since COVID-19 was announced in the country. The remittance delay, Cherono said, is likely to contribute to high non-performing loans.
Some of our members have lost income, they have lost jobs, others, their businesses are not performing. In order for them to be able to continue with life, we have decided to lower the interest rates for various, not various, in fact all products. We decided to lower the interest rates. Originally, you know, our interest rate, normally we calculate it on a monthly basis. And we normally used to do 1.5% per month. But now we decided to lower that interest to 1.2% across the board. We have now increased the amount of money. Previously, we used to give online mobile loan, we used to give up to 10,000 because it was a small loan facility. But now we have raised it to 50,000. Again, we have allowed people who are not members or who have no account with our front office to have access to this type of mobile loan.
All right, with that story, we've come to the end of this live broadcast. Thank you so much for watching Newswatch. I'll see you again tomorrow, same time. My name is Tonny Omondi, and our sign language interpreter has been Boniface Muridhi. Have a good night.